So this is the last session of the Teach with Tech series. We had a little bit of a break and now we're back, and this is actually one of my favorite ones to tell you guys a little bit more about, just because of the content. It's it's a little bit more fun and interactive in terms of the information. For you guys, it's not as interactive as some of our previous more hands-on sessions, but it will give you that ability to have your students really engaged in the classroom. For any newbies here, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Sister Sophia Jetpuri. I am a curriculum content consultant with Google. I'm also a teacher currently at Alpha Academy. This year I'm teaching 7th grade humanities. I have a double master's degree in curriculum and leadership, and I've been an educator for about 15 years in all types of schools. Okay, we are going to just dive right in. So today's objectives: just learn about what is gamification, benefits of gamification, some background, kind of just a little bit of research, not a lot. I didn't want to put too much time into theories. And then definitely we'll be sharing a lot of templates of game examples that you guys can use. And we have a guest speaker who's going to be demoing a few different tools for us as well, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Yes. Okay, so what is gamification? We're going to kind of compare the 3 different terms that most people kind of really see when they hear of gamification. So first, there's games and gaming. You know, that's generally distinguished by the specific and original purpose of just excitement and entertainment. You know, it's just universal gameplay. Then there's like serious games. They're designed to educate first, and then you change variables. Now, gamification comes in differently because now you're using game design elements, and normally those that, are used for motivation and other things, to now non-game principles and learning strategies and for training. And you kind of blend all of those approaches of fun into learning. It's kind of like, that excitement and engagement that accompany gameplay, it can be universal for everyone, right? I mean, everyone is playing games quite often in even the smallest ways. And we'll be talking about some examples in a bit, but especially for younger students. So the gamification of education approach has the advantage of introducing kind of what really matters from the world of video games, which is increasing engagement without the use of a very specific game. So the aim is to attract game elements that make good games enjoyable and fun, to play with them, adapt them. And this way you're going to have students learning, but not by playing specific games, but they're going to learn as though they were playing a game. So let's try this out really quick. Okay, within 5 seconds, or actually let's do 10 seconds, and I'm going to let you type in the chat. Think of at least 5 words that rhyme with learn, okay? Ready, set, go. I didn't put a timer on, but 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, I see that chat button is like popping up like crazy. So likely, I'm sure a lot of you felt that sense of urgency and focus, right? You were like, oh, let me just write it right. You either wrote about it or you thought about those rhyming words if you didn't get a chance. And I see people still typing them in. They're like, I didn't get it, but I got to put it in right now. Just from the smallest amount of, okay, right now you have 10 seconds, do it right now. Even though it's not a full game, it brings in that sense of urgency that you would see in a game, and some people might be like, okay, I can do this, I can design it. So we're gonna just go through just a couple little details, and then I'll talk about kind of how you can also design a gamified experience. We have done a couple other things, in our previous sessions. For those who are here, we've talked about Padlets, we showed spinners, virtual dice, a couple different things. And if you missed those sessions, I highly, highly encourage you to go back, especially look at the one that talks about student engagement, because we did talk about a lot of different gaming elements in that lesson. So definitely go back and listen to that one, and you'll get some of the items that I'm going to kind of be skipping over today. I'm not going to hit all of those points because we've learned that. Y'all are masters on that, and we're moving on to the next. Okay, so what is a gameful mindset? So it's a mix of, the goals plus the rules is going to equal play. You have to make sure you mix both. A lot of times I've seen like teachers like, oh, this can be so much fun, and they plan this like amazing lesson in their head, and it sounds super creative, super fun, but in the end they miss that mark because they're planning for the goal, but they kind of lost some of the rules and objectives in the middle. They didn't practice it. They didn't make sure that all of the pieces align, and then halfway through the lesson, everything didn't work out. So it brings in that play aspect, but you have to make sure we don't end up missing those goals and rules while we're designing it. It's really similar to the growth mindset, in my personal opinion, because it allows for that room for improvement. The kids learn from their failure as they're playing a game. If they don't do well, they're going to keep trying and trying to increase their stats and their percentages and to get higher and better scores. So it brings in that growth mindset background for those of you who are familiar with growth mindset. Just a very small amount of background information. So there's evidence for supporting and motivating learners. It's that students that participate in daily gaming outperform students that participate in daily social media and math, reading, and science. And this was a research study that I was reading. It was from 2016, and I came across so much more research, especially now with how much gaming has boomed since 2016. Some of the numbers I was looking at was that it was about a $200 million industry in 2016. And in 2018, it doubled to something well over $20 billion industry. So just in that 2 years, it was like an exponential growth in just the gaming industry. And now it's been another two years since. So knowing that our kids, our students are gaming and they're playing games constantly, what can we do as educators to use those skills, those things that are engaging them, that are pulling them away from learning into gaming, to bring them into that gamification kind of mindset, to where you're playing a game and you're still learning. I'm like my son today, when I picked him up from school, and he's 6, he was on a new website I didn't see. He's like in a learning pod where they're working with like a retired educator, and they're just a couple little kids together. And I saw he's doing multiplication. I was like, you don't know multiplication? He was like, no, but it's a game and it's a bonus level that popped up. I have to get them right. And I was like, we gotta leave. Like, I gotta go right now. It's like, I gotta do it. I gotta get them correct. And I was so shocked because, first of all, it's multiplication. You've been working for 8 hours today and you want to keep learning, but okay. And this was just shocking to me. But when I looked at it, I was like, oh, if you get it right, you get more points and you get to the next level. But I mean, he was just excited to get to the next level on this game that he has no competition. He's not competing against anyone. He's not earning any real prizes. It's just he gets extra points on his account. So it was just like a really quick, like, okay, yeah, this works even with my little 6-year-old who has no idea about anything about multiplication. And he was sitting there trying to count by 5s and 3s to figure out 7 times 3 and 5 times 7 is 35. So it does work. There's specific recommendations for some best practices. So use specific content and target specific objectives, and that will do better at improving learning. So when you're designing a game, don't do it as like an overall unit test. Occasionally, we can do that, and I do have some examples for that as well. But you can input small mini games that are on specific learning targets, and that will exponentially raise the learning of that target instead of an overall review game, which is definitely done more often than the individual smaller games. And last one, games and simulations that allow debriefing and feedback demonstrated better results. So at the end of your lessons, imagine like an exit ticket, go ahead and do that debriefing at the end of a lesson. Then they're able to also reinforce the learning that they've done and kind of have that, you get that feedback again, okay, this is what we need to go. So it works good for both the learner and the student, or the teacher and the learner. Okay, some benefits. So gamification in education, it may optimize the brain's processing of new information. What I mean by that, so this may be facilitated by like the general aspects of gamified lessons. So when you look at the audiovisual presentation and the short time lapses, repetitive patterns, all of these small things, when you think of like psychology and the way schema makes, it helps the brain process new information in different ways because it's already in short lapses and repetitive moments. there's a research that shows that new data is lost unless it's stored in our long-term memory through that process of attention, perception, selection, organization, you know, when we look at the hierarchy of learning. So the first set of data that your brain and memory gets, it can only handle a small amount of information at a time. And there's research that suggests that the human brain can process, I think it was like 7 pieces of information at a time, but it's going to be lost in 20 seconds if you haven't gone to the next step and from attention to perception to selection to where you get to that long-term memory. It's kind of also the reason why phone numbers are broken down into, you know, little chunks because of the way the brain remembers. So you have to get it into that working memory, but by allowing the brain to play games in small little elements in small different ways, you're actually building, you know, those synapses, and you're making existing schemas kind of grow into the long-term memory. It's a lot. I'm still, you know, a lot of this research was new to me, but I found it super exciting just to learn about it. I'm sure whenever Shaza listens to that, she'll have so much more to add in because she is definitely a research buff for sure. Okay, so gamification in education, it can actually improve education. It can improve the motivation and engagement of students, the immediate feedback that they're getting, earning badges, competing for challenges. All of that is going to drive them to want to be in their classroom and want to be more, fully engaged. You're going to get some, plasticity of their brain and rewiring of that information, and they're learning it in a different way. So they're going to be more engaged and interested in that information. Another example that I can share here, when it says earning badges, if you're on a video game, like just Fortnite, for example, our students are glued to those, they earn more points and they earn new tiers and levels depending on how well they do. So you could set up something like that in your classroom, that if you get 90% and above on iExcel, you earn this achievement badge, and put it on an Excel spreadsheet that they can access and see what they have to earn, what milestones they have to do to get just a digital sticker, and they'll do it. I have a student who has read 3 hours in the past week on Epic Books, and I gave her just a little virtual certificate in front of everyone in the class. No one else in the class has read this website. I just made it as an optional, here you go, in case anyone is struggling and doesn't have books at home. Here's another way for you guys to get some access to books. It was in no way required. This child did it. I got an email. So I was like, oh, let me just show everybody her certificate. From showing them that certificate, it was at 1:40 p.m. and I got a message saying that I've had another 2 hours of students reading. Why? Because they want to get that encouragement. They want to have those badges and certificates too. They're doing optional work just to get a paper digital certificate that will in no way affect their life in the long run, okay? But they want that, that they're motivated by it. So it's just something to, really think about. The gamification modifies the brain's reward and pleasure center and ameliorates learning. So it makes learning fun and enjoyable for them, okay? They're gonna want to come back to your class if they know that every time Sister Esma has a class, she's gonna do something fun and it's going to be great and there's gonna be something fun, it improves that hippocampal memory, and that's reported to improve it's reported to be improved just in video games in general. I'm thinking of a lot of different games and we're going to get to them, but I don't want to take up too much time because we have a lot to get through. Okay, I'm going to stop. Enough of this benefits, no more research. Let's look at the design real quick. So one attraction of games is that they allow players to kind of go in multiple paths, right? You can either choose something that will be like a problem solving and there'll be a natural consequence, or you could have a little bit more autonomy. Gaming gives that ownership to students. So you need to have, when you're designing the game, they have to have a freedom to fail. There has to be rapid feedback, okay? Feedback is an integral part of learning in our system, and we all know that, but that rapid feedback gives a teacher that control to gauge the understanding and make instructional decisions in that moment. It also allows students to evaluate their own learning. And then you have progression. you want to know, the students want to see themselves improving. They want to know that they're, having success. They want to give other players, the impression of advancement, that it's getting difficult and the obstacles are getting more harder, but they're improving, So those obstacles and enhancements, they serve to keep that player in there longer, and it's going to put them at a higher capacity. So when you hit that phenomenon, that's considered flow. So if we look at just kind of this little chart, depending on how hard or how easy the game is, you want to make sure they're in this kind of flow capacity. If the game's too hard, they're going to be anxious. That the anxiety level is going to go up. They're not going to be engaged. If the player ability is really strong and the game is super easy, they'll be in that boredom and they'll be like, okay, like this is not engaging. You have to find that kind of sweet spot in the middle. Just another little one I added in terms of design is storytelling. And just because, sometimes that well-made story, it's going to draw your players forward. On Nearpod, which we did before, there was a time to climb game, and you have a little climber going up a mountain as they're getting questions correct. So my students, they've been making their own Nearpods now, by the way, because they've had so much fun with them. And they say, oh, well, the little mountain is falling down. It's falling down. Oh, the other mountain, the other goat is going to beat the mountain up there, and he's going to get water first. And they're building in those story contexts, to put that learning into that context, and that's making it more engaging for them. And by just putting characters into it and a background for those characters, you can even change the setting on that time to climb game. But there's just creating that setting and plot story behind any game that you've made is going to help. Definitely, it's not required in terms of design, but I did put it on there because I want you to kind of think about that. Just an example, of a familiar character is like Pac-Man, right? So that Pac-Man's going to go and he's going to try to eat all the ghosts, right? Or like run away from the ghosts and eat all the cherries and get all the little power pellets. But so using the principles of those stories as the story of Pac-Man, and knowing that if you design the same game in a labyrinth, kids are going to relate back to that memory. So try to come up with a story behind a game that you design on your own. And we're going to start out with today just showing you a lot of different versions. You're not going to be designing any of your own. I'll be sharing templates, but if you decide to design your own, I wanted you to have this background and information. Okay, so there's a couple different types of gaming options. So alignment to specific knowledge or skills, those are like specialty games. One website might have a game specifically just for science or specifically just for math. There's NGPF, Next Gen PF, and they do games specifically for economics, and all of their games are all just econ related games. And me and my husband find ourselves just playing these games randomly because we're like, let's compete and see who can do better in terms of budgeting, and we'll compare anytime he tells me I've spent too much money. So they're just fun games. So you can leverage in-class learning or online games that you've already done, or things that you're used to, where it's like, oh, okay, if you get the question right, throw it in the basket, and different things like that. Next Gen, Sister Zahra, I just saw your thing. I'm going to write it on there. So you can use different things that you've already used, whether it's, around the world and flashcard, and I think that's it, Next Gen. And GPF. I'll look it up exactly and send it to you. Okay. Then there's commercial off-the-shelf integrations. That's called COTS. So other companies that have already pre-made other websites that you can use and games like that. And we have a guest speaker who will show us one or two examples. And there's some social awareness games and augmented reality. And the augmented reality is more on the newer end. There are some really great fun ones that I've seen kind of coming up. There's the Merge Cube, and I was going to try to show it to you, and my son saw it and he ran away with it, said it was his Merge Cube and I cannot take it. Perfect, Jazakallah. Thank you so much, Sister Michaela. I love the arcade. So it's a little Merge Cube, and your kids can, they would take the cube and they point their camera on it, and it links them to the, their actual augmented reality world, and they can see parts of their human body on it. They can see the solar system on it. There's a new augmented reality like Google for my kids were playing it over the summer, and they're like, they would Google the word bear and see, look at it in 3D, and you could see it in your augmented reality, and they could look at animals and things like that. So there's a lot of new augmented reality options out there. I don't have a large list of those. That's something I'm still exploring, but I didn't want to leave it out. So I'd love to hear, and we have a lot of time set aside for today's session for me to allow you guys to share, because I want to see what gaming options you've been using in the classroom. So I did set a lot of time aside for that today. So if anyone has that, that's something I want to hear more about for sure. Okay, I left this side very blank, and this is where, I want you guys to be able to share more. So there's Kahoot, there's Quizlet, Edpuzzle, Classcraft, Clickers is one. There's a lot more. Before I go into any of these, I'm going to give a few minutes over to our guest speaker, who's going to share Edpuzzle and I think another one. You can correct me. She'll share Edpuzzle and a little bit more information, and then we'll continue with I'm going to share you my templates and different gaming options. And then we have a quick answer garden, kind of like a Padlet, where we'll just have a quick Q&A, and then I will let you guys share any other games and things like that you have. Sister, are you still with us?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
I'm going to stop my screen sharing if you'd like to share your screen. Are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay, I was so excited.
Okay, I'm going to start sharing my screen.
So happy we had a volunteer to share other resources, because I love learning from everyone as well.
Inshallah. Bismillah.
Turn.
Business house disabled participants. Okay, so I'm trying to share. Okay. Hi. Bismillah. Why it's not sharing? Okay, now it's okay. So, assalamu alaikum. My name is Mufida bin Barka, inshallah. Salatu wassalam ala Rasulullah. I am a teacher at Ilm Academy, and my name is Mufida bin Barka. I use Bamboozle, I use quick quizzes, I use Edpuzzle and Kahoot in my classroom. I'm just going to give you a little bit background on myself. My name is Mufida. I live in Sugar Land, Texas. I am originally from Libya. I am a pharmacist and now a master's degree student. And also I teach elementary and middle school Islamic studies and Quranic Arabic. So the objective for my class, my presentation, is to show you how I use Bamboozle. It's a very good game. I use it all the time in my classroom as a question of the day or as an opening for the class. And also I use Edpuzzle, but Bamboozle is more. So if you go and Google Bamboozle, you will find a page that has multiple games, like hundreds of games. And if you want to make your own game, you can just go here and make your own game. So I do a lot of games. I had about 23 games. I make very specific games, as Sister Sophia said. I do for each class specific game. So for the Quranic Arabic, Surah Al-Kafirun, I make the game before the classroom, and this is very specific, where we learn the grammar in Arabic, which is a'budu, ta'buduna, and plural and single in Arabic, and the plural, single, and male and female. So the game is very interesting and very, very attractive to the kids. So they give you option to choose between how many teams you want to have. So if I have a very small class, so I choose always 2 teams, one for the boys and the girls, and also I have questions, and then they give you options to do partial credit for their effort if they got the answer wrong. If you want to use timer, also I use it always on for 20 or 15 seconds. Then if you want to have a pass button, and just in case they did not get it. If you want to have a colorful grid, that's a good option too. And if you want to penalize them for having give them penalty for the wrong answer, answer, I do it always without penalty, because I want them to see their scores. So I will assign the game in Google Classroom, so it will be in a quiz form for where they will practice it at home. But if it's in the classroom, we do classic, where once I hit that, I would see all those colors, and I have all each team. I always, now we started the hybrid program, so I have one group at home and one group in the school, team 1 and team 2, and then team 1 will choose a question. So they will say, what is the meaning of the verb a'budu? And then I give them 17 seconds to think together, and then they will come with an answer. Once they get the answer, I will check it, and okay, if they got it right, we do okay, and then if not, then we do oops. And then we see here the score and the sound, and everything is very, very live. And then also the other group will do the same. Abiduna is the noun use plural for female, male, or single, or male or female. Same thing here, and this is very specific. We learn vocabulary in the Quranic Arabic, so this is very specific. Also, I made a game for when we went to hybrid. So the school, they sent the rules for the students to learn. And they told us the first day, the only thing you have to do is to go over the rules, how they will be in person. So I found it very, very boring if they just gonna stand and tell them, you don't touch that, you don't touch that, you keep yourself, keep everything to yourself. Then I said, let's make a game. So I made a game for all the rules that we have. I went to the school website, and I had everything from the school where they already studied, the students already studied that, and they know what is inside. So once they came, we did the same, and we started playing the game, and they were very happy and actually they studied it before because they want to win. So there was a motivation for them to do it.
And I love all of the options Bamboozle has, like the ones that you're showing in terms of setup. I haven't seen those on a lot of other gaming. You know, I often find my students are like, can we get extra points if we lose it or if we steal? And what's it? And it's me, and I'm, you know, me trying to keep track, or me telling the students, okay, you know, Sister Nuskia, you keep the score and you keep track of that, but I love that it gives you that option of penalty, lose points, and resetting the score, and all of these other options on there. That's great.
And they have power-ups. Power-ups is sometimes they will tell you swap points, lose 15 points, add 15 points, and it's very good. I just want to mention another website that I use for making stories for students who are artistic. The website named Storyboard That. Storyboard That is a website that lets the student make comic books.
You can show it, sister, if you'd like.
I don't have it right now.
Okay.
I forgot it when you was talking about your one of your games. I remember the storyboard that. I can send it to you later on, and you can share it with the.
Okay, I'm typing in the chat. It's just storyboardthat.com.
Yes, and they have a very good option for the free of charge membership. I already a member with that because I have a lot of artistic students who likes to do so many options. So we did the story of Ibrahim alayhi salam, and all in comic books. So they became very creative. Everyone, they want to do, they want to make more. So, and one of the students, he told me, me and my now we're making a daily story about that for our daily life. So funny when she told me that. I thought, well, alhamdulillah, you found something to be engaging with your family in this hard time, because we're all bored at home, and we were trying to find something to engage ourselves with our kids. And she said, this has connected me with my mom so much. So we were looking for the time.
I'm going to introduce that to my kids. My kids started making their own Kahoots and quizzing me on who knows me best, mom or dad. So we did a lot of Kahoots the first few months.
Mufida, sorry guys, just to interrupt. I did put that up. I just made myself able to share as well, Mufida. So I put storyboard that up. But I would love to see your kids' stuff. So definitely send that to us, and we'll send it along to everybody who's registered.
Inshallah. I don't want to take more time. So Edpuzzle, I am not like a fan a lot of Edpuzzle. because if you are going to use it, it's better for them to use it at home. So if I have like this one, this dua, morning dua for my fourth graders, they want to memorize it. So what I do, I give them the dua, and every dot you see here, there is a question or note from me. And it's very easy to make. There is a video for like how you can make it. You find any video in the web, in the internet and YouTube. You just take the video and then you just let me see here.
Can you play it for us, Sister Mufida?
Yeah. So those are the things that you can do. Once you press edit, you can add questions. But here I will play it for you, inshallah.
So Sister Mufida, the YouTube is already in YouTube, the videos already in YouTube?
Yeah, the videos in YouTube, and I already brought it here to
Okay.
play with it. Yeah. So let's go
What
back.
do you say to this dua?
Yeah.
Okay, I think that your sound isn't shared, Sister Mufida, so we can't hear it.
Okay.
Okay, so it's kind of like the option on Nearpod when you're adding questions onto videos. But if you don't want to do a full Nearpod, you just do a quick Edpuzzle.
I'm not familiar with that game. I'm trying to share my let's see here. I don't know why it's not. I do it every day in the school, subhanallah.
Also, I have a question about the Arabic. I noticed you use like some Arabic word in the games. How do you do that? Do you?
Yeah, so you just go here and print out Arabic keyboard.
Oh, okay. So you copy and paste from
Arabic keyboard, and then you have the Arabic keyboard. I use this one.
Yes, yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you just write and copy and paste.
Can I ask you one more question, sister?
Yes.
On the Bamboozles, are you able to share the games that you've already made with other teachers? Like if another teacher in your school wanted to use a game that you've worked on, do you have that ability to share it?
Yes, actually all mine are public. You have the choice to use public or not.
Could
so I
you
do
share
it
them
public.
with us?
Yes, it's shared. Just go to just go to Bamboozle and write down my name or write any of these titles. You will find it.
MashaAllah.
Yeah, so I just and there is a lot also. There is a lot of sisters who did about the story of Ibrahim, about Nuh, and there's a lot of
in your
Islamic
school
studies. No, not my school. That's general. All over the world. There's a brother from Malaysia. He has a lot of work too.
So you can type in a search if I put story of Ibrahim.
Yes. Just put a keyword and see what you will find.
Can you show us, sister?
Yes, inshallah. So once we go to home, you go to games and then enter the search for games. So let's see. I search for Islamic always because I'm Islamic study teacher. So I get all these.
Oh my gosh, this is so cool.
And they're ready for you. MashaAllah, they need the ajr.
I can't wait to share this with all of the teachers in our school. They're gonna love it. Yeah,
that's why when you were talking about games, because I use a lot of projects, always project-based learning. When we moved to online schooling, it was very hard for me to do it. I need hands-on. So I went to gaming, and alhamdulillah now.
Thank you so much for sharing.
Jazakallah khairan, sister.
Alhamdulillah. Just keep me in your dua, guys. Assalamu alaikum. So inshallah, I'm going to stop sharing.
Okay, like salam. This is so cool. Okay.
Sister Mufida, before we move on, are you on the IECN, our email listserv?
I think now I am. I got some, yeah.
Okay, no, well, we do send emails to anybody who's registered, but that doesn't mean you're part of the email discussion group. Because when you all are part of that email discussion group, then you can just, somebody shares, okay, hey, I use Bamboozle. It's a really great, website.
Yeah.
And then somebody else says, oh, I do too. Look for my stuff under this name, and so it allows it so that it's conversational between you all rather than just me or Sophia posting stuff.
Okay, just add me then.
Inshallah.
If you need any information, you can, inshallah, we have the WhatsApp, inshallah, we can get
There
send
too.
it
That's
into
another
the
good place. Okay.
Jazakallahu khairan for giving me
Yeah,
the time to
Jazakumullah khairan to you, Sister
share.
Mufida. Very, very helpful.
Alhamdulillah.
Assalamu alaikum, Sister Shaza.
Hey,
I want to
assalamu
ask
alaikum, Sister Hayat. How are you?
I'm good, alhamdulillah. I'm looking at bamboozles now, and it says it has pricing, so it's not free, or is it free?
Good question. Sister Mufida?
The version I'm using is free, but if you want to upgrade to the premium version where you can use multiple choice and you can use more features, the only feature that I can use is the one that I showed you. But if I want to use more features, then it will be, you have to pay for it.
Okay, thank you. Jazakallah khair, sister.
Okay. I do feel like you got a good amount of features though from what you're doing.
Yes, it's not that little. It's good. Quizzes too. Quizzes has more options, but the problem with quizzes, because they grew up so fast, so they crash. So they became famous and they're not ready for it. So one day I prepared everything in quizzes, my PowerPoint, my everything was in quizzes, and in the morning when I went to online to open it, it was all crashed. So subhanallah, just be careful if you want to use quizzes to have a backup, because I learned it hard way. I did not have a backup and it was very hard class for me. So
that perfectly transitions us into this question.
I have a question, please. Sister Mufida, can I ask you, it's to give you like result in the end, the score for everyone or not?
Yes, it will give you the score for each, how many teams you have. I use this is a good question too. So what I do sometimes, I just use it for each individual. I will do 16 because I have 16 students, 16 groups. And then each one will check a number and he will see his answer. So if you want to use it for assessment, you can, because he will answer one question at that time.
Yes, that's good. Okay,
yeah. Yeah, you're welcome.
Okay, so we're going to continue, and you know, your talk about how it's good to have a backup, that actually perfectly transitions us into this quick little answer garden. I just posted the link in the chat, so you can click right there. What is the biggest issue you feel that you might face for, you know, being a teacher or an educator using a game in a class? What is something that you might feel, you know, you might run into as a struggle? Answer Garden is really cool to get quick feedback. I put it at a very basic setting. It is free to use. It's similar to Padlet, except you do have more control on some features in terms of allowing students to resubmit and locking the work. You can share the entire sheet that everyone's doing really quickly on social media and embed it into websites. So I really do like this as a quick tool, especially if I know this is something I might want to share to parents or embed it onto my website later. So definitely just really quick, let's answer there instead of on our chat, just so we can, I can show you how this feature works as well. And I'm going to put in, have a backup when technology, sorry, have a backup. I've limited it to a certain amount of characters as well. And then it shows up right there, kind of like have a backup. And you see it kind of comes up as a word cloud. So I like the formatting of it as well. Students can't connect, age group relevance, aggressive students, yes. So this is where I wanted to kind of open it up for discussion, you know, and use our hive mind and how can we help you know, avoid some of these issues that we have before we jump into all the fun templates. You know, what can we do to prevent issues to arise, or when we do see an issue arise, what can we do to come up with a quick solution? Any thoughts? What can we do for aggressive students? Sister Nadia?
And I kind of want to know, what does aggressive student mean, Sophia?
Is it, I'm assuming maybe it's someone who might, you know, not talk appropriately in chat. I'm not sure either, actually. The person who commented, do you want to expand on that possibly?
I'm sorry, I missed the question. What was the question?
What is the biggest issue for teachers using games in class?
I'll be happy to explain that, inshallah.
Yeah.
My name is Daria Mitwali, and we've had issues at Miriam Masjid when some students get to be too competitive to the point that they start crying or kind of getting angry because another student is winning a game. So the best way to put it in a couple of words was just call them aggressive students.
Okay, so they're maybe a little overly competitive.
Well, yeah, we try to coach them so that they are not that competitive, but you know, they can just you know, say some angry stuff that they don't really mean to say. So it's more like aggression.
Okay, but
you know, we're working with that. We had more of it whenever we were doing stuff face to face, but online it's much easier. But I do have to pull some kids to a separate room that I have designed a link where we can take those kids and talk to them and kind of calm them down and tell them what they need to be doing.
And I really like that, you know, you provided that solution as well. So it was the issue and the solution, which was, you know, you do that coaching and pull the students aside to have those, you know, conversations that need to get done.
Assalamu alaikum, Sister Sophia. Can I say assalamu alaikum to Sister Dalia? She's the principal of Maryam Masjid Islamic Center. And I shared the game, Sister Dalia.
And Mufida, I loved your presentation. Tabarakallah, may Allah bless you, Habib.
Thank you. So she is the principal of the school that I teach in.
Oh, mashallah, that's wonderful. Okay, anyone else want to comment on any of these issues with a possible solution? We have different ages together, phone users, students off task. Feel free to unmute and chime in if you want to provide some feedback. Okay, I'll read from Sister Sarah Malik, put it in the chat. She wrote time management with games on here as well, inappropriate names or unclear names. Sometimes the students will log in and they'll put a name and you don't know what they are. So that is one that, you know, I make it a requirement for my students to make sure they have a very clear name. Otherwise, they're being kicked out or we're not going to, you know, address them at all. Clicking the game sometimes requires them to be 13 and over to log in. So for that one, I would definitely suggest try it out. And it is something that we mentioned a little bit earlier where we said, you know, if sometimes people get really excited in designing things and you don't try everything out perfectly, then you don't know how it's going to work. So that is a way around that, just to kind of double check that. Okay, so if no other comments on this, I'm going to continue with our templates. Okay. So you're going to get access to this drive. These are some curated PowerPoint templates for games that are outside of websites that we've discussed, like Kahoot and Edpuzzle and Bamboozle and other ones that you might be familiar with. These are all PowerPoints that were made by other teachers. I've just been collecting them and curating them, and they're all available for sharing. They were made to share with other educators. You know, the only thing that I ask, just, you know, be respectful of that. It is created by other educators like us. So if you're sharing, some of them do have, you know, the creator's name on a slide. I would obviously say keep that on there. You're welcome to share it with other people outside, but don't delete that kind of proprietary information. You know, we want to make sure that they get credit. Some of them have those, some of them don't. Okay, so there's Wheel of Fortune, Tic-Tac-Toe, Millionaire, Hollywood Squares, Fortnite Battle Review, Cash Cab, Family Feud. I have a Dyke and Alley version, Deal or No Deal, Tic-Tac-Toe, Game is Classes Lava, another board game of NFL Draft. I had a Jeopardy and I didn't put it in here. I think I have to add that one back in. And Jeopardy you can find on a lot of websites online. So I'm going to show you just a quick example. Let's do this one. Okay, So the way these PowerPoints are set up is that there's instructional slides that come first. Oh, I don't want to open it up all the way. Okay, I'll show you this one. Connect 4, for example. It's a template with drag and drop circles. So you could be working in teams, ask them questions and say, where would you like it placed, you know, and place it over for them. And this is a very simple template. Some of the other ones are more advanced, like the millionaire one. All of the templates are here for you, and you would have to change the answers on the fill in the blank. And they go from slide to slide, answering the questions and playing the games. And yeah, there's just a lot of different examples. I did want to try to play a game with you guys, but I think I really want to make sure we have some time to discuss and share any other ideas that other people have used. And I want to make sure I give you this entire drive. There's Deal or No Deal with all the slides here, and all of these PowerPoints are embedded with the sounds as well. So when you hit play, they'll have all the sounds, it'll have those same interactive features. So it is a very large drive. I made this so it's editable, so anyone who uses it will be able to edit. So the other thing I ask you, I didn't make them in copy form. You know, if I sent you each individual link, it would force a copy. I'm sending you the entire folder. Please be very careful. Don't delete anything. You know, make a copy for yourself prior to, and the whole drive is right there, prior to, you know, making any changes, because that is the master copy for each one of you. So you can download it all or make yourselves copies of each file. Just be respectful of the fact that, you know, everyone is using it. So don't like, oh, I'm going to click on it and let me start changing it, because then it will change it for everyone using it. Any questions about that drive? Okay, the link for the drive is on the screen, so you can go ahead and type that in. And yes, I did make myself a copy, Sister Michaela, like a whole copy of the folder, but that's one folder for you guys as well. Arabic language, has anyone played any great games for Arabic language that they'd like to share about? I see, you know, a couple of questions about that.
Assalamu alaikum again. So we use Alif Bata. It's a very good website, but you have to register for it.
Okay, is there a fee involved on that?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, can I ask how much? Is it like a law or minimum?
I don't know, but my school, they have a membership, and it's very good for Arabic teachers, because they don't have to do any homework with the kids. All their homework will be on Alif Bata.
Oh, that's wonderful.
The fee is, excuse me, the fee is every year $60, and for each 6 months, $40. It's really good games and app for kids, especially for who is very young. Preschool, pre-K, kindergarten, until 3rd grade.
Okay. Anyone else have some other games that they've tried for another subject, something that they found working really well, or struggled with any of the resources that we've possibly shared?
I use
please, if you can ask to share the website for Alif Bata. Sorry, my name is Amal, and I just want to ask if the sister can share the website through the chat. Jazakallah khair.
What's WordWall, Mrs. Ahmed?
Miss Amal. My name is Amal.
Miss Amal, yes. I see in the chat, it says, Mrs. Ahmed shared something about WordWall.
So I want to ask the sister who, yeah, no, the Alif Bata website, she was just talking about if she can write the website. Jazakallah khair in the chat.
Of course.
I can share it with everyone. Okay, I'm using my phone right now, but I can send email for everyone. It's really good for the schools.
Jazakallah khair.
Oh, just wordwall.com. Okay. Any suggestions for Islamic studies? I love that we have a huge network on Bamboozle that we can find. Tell us more about Wiser, Sister Maha.
Yes, I use Wiser, yes. Do you want to see something?
I'd love to see something. Yeah, we can all learn at the same time. Did everyone get this link?
It's a wiser.me.
Okay, actually, I can go on it. You can guide me, and I can learn at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And
Interactive worksheets.
yeah, you can create it, your account.
You can search worksheets too.
Yes, and also have a lot worksheet for all the world, for all the countries. It's different level, everything.
What subject do you teach, sister?
I teach Arabic, so I create all my work because the level is.
Oh my gosh. This is so cool.
I see that the Arabic and Islamic studies teachers are really heavy on the gamification. I love it, mashallah.
What work with the people in America here, I create a lot work. It's
Ooh. Okay, I don't know what I'm doing because I'm not listening or reading any of this at this point. This just seems so much fun to just click.
What is that website? I'm sorry, I missed it. Is that word wall too? Or
It's,
what is the name of the game?
Correct. They all have a check mark, but none of them are green.
Actually,
can you put the link in the chat, please?
This is so much fun. Okay, I love this. Thank you, sister.
The link is in the chat, sisters. So it's wiser.me. If you put that into your browser, there you go. Khalwa, thank you. Jazakumullah khairan.
And this is cool. You can put recorded options on here and create your own worksheets. This is so much easier than creating, drag and drop on PowerPoint.
Exactly. Yeah, you can put post some pictures. You can everything. You can record.
Where were you, sister, 4 weeks ago when I was doing interactive notebooks? You could have saved all of us so much time. I didn't even know about Wiser. I love this. I love learning from all of you. Thank you for sharing.
Can I ask one question? Is the games shared for everyone, the Arabic games, or it's on private?
Yes, it depends. If you wanted to let this share like a public, yes, or you can save in your
So do you share yours or not?
Yeah, I can show you if you want. You can.
No, I mean, do you share it in public so when we search something we find it or not?
Not yet. I put all on my stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
Would you be willing to share some of yours publicly?
Of course I can. Why not? But I use this year. I don't have a lot enough. I have around 10 topics, not more.
Oh, that's wonderful though, Sister Maha. That's 10 topics people don't have to create themselves. Yeah, if you can, Sister Maha, I'm going to put my email on anyone who is sharing out information where we've got these kind of shareable spaces like Nearpod and, live worksheets and all these things. Can you guys just email me your information so that we can include it in the follow-up email? That way, may Allah reward you all so much for the work and efforts that you're doing. And one thing that I wanted to say, I know we're getting at the end of the meeting, I was speaking to a teacher, I'm not going to mention who, but you probably all can associate with this where you're just feeling like, oh my gosh, can I keep teaching, right? Like this is just so much. We are all so stressed out. We feel overworked. Many of us might feel like, don't let me speak for you. It's just that it's recorded, so I guess we could stop the recording. But, a lot of us are really struggling with balancing our work and our home and our children's work and so much stuff. So inshallah, the more we can help each other, the easier it becomes to do our jobs. And inshallah, we can help each other. I think that this has been so rich. Sophia, I want to thank you so much for leading this workshop. I think there's a lot more to be shared. And I want to let you all know, actually, this is funny that we ended up focusing so much on Islamic studies and Arabic. I'm actually working on the next Teach with Tech to be about Arabic and Islamic studies. And with all of this content, I think that we can actually break it up so that it's Quranic Arabic and then it can be Islamic studies. I think Quranic Arabic becomes challenging because it's so specific. So inshallah, email me, contact me if you are somebody who could provide a stronger, longer demo. We will not be having Teach with Tech next week. and most likely even the week after that. I am going on vacation, inshallah. So do email me, inshallah, everybody, and I will follow up with you so that we can go ahead and plan for that. But let's stop recording, Sister Sophia. Jazakumullah khairan to everybody. I want to give a little bit of time for some just conversation. So Sister Sophia.